All right, everybody. We are back with our, what will this be, fourth live episode. No video today, though. So, no seeing all of our beautiful faces today. You can just see a
Brandon
blank screen.
Brandon didn't have time to put on his makeup.
I
Frankly, I
didn't,
didn't
yeah,
have time to put mine on
I didn't
either.
have time to put on my pants, let alone makeup. I pretty much worked from home today, so
All
So the
right.
best thing about video conference calls is, you can put you can put the laptop at a certain angle that you don't have to wear pants. Like I'll literally just put on boxers and have like a nice button-up shirt and a nice jacket. They never even know. Never know. Dress from the waist up.
That's all that matters.
That sounds so lazy.
It is absolutely lazy, and I 100% love it.
At
Don't
least
be
put on
don't, Listen.
sweatpants.
Don't be jealous that you have to go to work every day in pants. Okay, I just don't be jealous. Don't hate.
Do you go to work every day not in pants?
I go to work most days not in pants because most days I work from home.
Ugh, I hate that. I'm
I just don't
so
even want to
jealous of
imagine
your
that.
life.
No, I believe me, it has its setbacks. Sometimes you just want to get out of the house, But
And put on pants.
well, even then, sometimes I don't wear pants. So
There's a whole story arc on How I Met Your Mother about Marshall going like his pantsless radius. It's very funny. Everybody should watch it.
I haven't. I finished. I stopped watching that show. I think season three, and never finished it because there were so many spoilers. Like everything got ruined for me on Facebook. So like I
Yeah, I
have
get
no
that.
no like I knew the ending before the ending. So, but with that being said, we can move into our first story. Brandon, I believe that is you, right?
Yep, that's me. I just have a quick question for you guys. All right, so you see an article, a mountain lion's killed. All right, what's your first instinct, right? Like gun, right? Gun,
What?
maybe a
What's our
bow and
first
arrow.
instinct?
Yeah, like you
Maybe
see
a
a mountain lion's killed.
gun, definitely gun. My
Gun.
my step my stepfather actually hunted, went on a mountain lion hunt, and has one. Brandon, you've seen it in our living room. He hasn't mounted,
Oh yeah,
but I
yeah.
mean, he had to go out. He had to go out with an '06 because you just can't get close to them.
Well, this guy in Colorado did, and he choked it to death.
No way.
What?
Yeah. So this
What?
runner in Colorado was out running a trail, and he was attacked by a juvenile mountain lion. The estimated length was 4 feet, roughly around the size of a German Shepherd. And during the autopsy, because the police had to conduct an autopsy to make sure that this guy didn't just go out and kill a mountain lion, the cause of death was suffocation.
Oh my gosh.
Can we give this
Wow.
man a medal?
I don't know if you realize. I'm sure the two of you realize how big and strong a mountain lion is. Antoine, growing up in the city,
Yeah,
you
I don't have a
know,
clue.
a mountain lion is a very. I mean, you might as well just call them a tiger. I mean, there's a reason why
Yeah,
they're called lions.
They're
Right.
apex
Yeah.
predators. They will kill you.
Yeah, they
And they
routinely get
typically
to about
do.
180 pounds.
I mean,
I can't.
their paws can be the size of your head, like the
I'm
the
baffled
size of
that
your
it was a
face.
runner. I'm baffled that it was a runner.
I mean,
Are you saying that most runners are pacifists, or what are you trying to say?
No, I'm saying that most runners aren't like strong enough to choke out a lion. No offense to the sport of running, but you don't get strong doing it. You get good at running. And you tend to get skinny and not like this dude had to do jujitsu or something and just
I
really
would
know
like-
how to use
I
those
would like
bony
to see.
forearms.
I would like to see a picture of this guy. Like, it's one thing that's lacking in this article is a picture of this runner that choked this mountain lion out.
yeah, they haven't released his identity yet. Apparently, he got messed up. Like, no doubt about it. The lion got his blows in, but yeah, he choked him out.
I
wish
can't
they-
wait for Leonardo DiCaprio to star in this movie.
Or what was the guy that was it 87 nights or whatever? James Franco.
Yeah,
That had to cut his own
100 and something hours, 127 hours,
yeah,
or something
whatever
like that.
it was, where he cut his own arm off.
Yeah,
He'd be good in that movie.
What kills Leonardo DiCaprio? A mountain lion or a floating door?
I
don't think anything
in that
kills
case,
Leonardo DiCaprio
it was the
except
ocean.
for frozen
It was
water.
the
Yeah.
ocean that killed him.
You can't choke out the ocean.
You cannot choke out the ocean.
Maybe you can't. Speak for yourself.
Speaking of choking, guys, my story.
Hold on. I just want to give you like mad props from taking. That was a awesome transition.
Yeah.
And Antoine and I's line of work, transition is so important. And I'm just gonna give you 5 stars on that transition. That was amazing.
I agree. Good job, man. Good job.
So my story comes out of the great US of A. I found it on the BBC this week because surprisingly, you can just scroll down their headlines and they've always got a crazy one, and it's usually from the US.
You can just scroll down the BBC.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
You're straight down the BBC. Hawaii may increase the legal smoking age to, are you ready for this, guys? 100 years old.
I mean, I feel like if you make it to 100, you deserve a cigarette.
Right? That's the first thing I thought. Like, all right.
Like you've done it. You can.
Hold on. Could you imagine introducing
introducing
the tar from tobaccos into your lungs at 100? Like your lungs have been, for the most part, probably completely clean until you're 100 years old, and you're like, first cigarette, you have a seizure. Like,
I don't know what it's got to be bad, but it's in a new bill proposed by Richard Cregan. The smoking age would increase rapidly between 2020 and 2024, and it effectively rules out the entire Hawaiian population.
I am very, very. I can't believe that it was actually proposed by a Democrat. I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, it's a Hawaii is already. Their legal smoking age is 21. It's already higher than the rest of the United States, but this would push it out to 100. It's effectively just banning cigarettes without doing an all-out ban. I don't know that it'll pass constitutional muster because it sort of effectively ends up being an all-out ban. But I think that's crazy. I don't know if I.
But I mean, is it by law? Is it an all-out ban? If you're saying, I mean, it's just like alcohol. You can't drink alcohol till you're 21. So, are they setting it to 100 years old because they're like, that's the only way we can technically get around that law?
That's what I think is happening. And you know what? Kind of good for them, I guess. I mean, I guess I support it in theory. Smoking is not great for you, but. It's kind of a weird thing. Like, if somebody wants to buy cigarettes, who are we to tell them no? Kind of thing.
I mean, for me, so have all of you guys at least smoked one cigarette?
No,
yeah, I've been an on-again, off-again smoker. Yeah.
I never
since
have.
college.
I never smoked.
So, all right.
You guys lie.
No, I've literally never smoked one cigarette or cigar in my entire life. Nothing with tobacco. I've never chewed, smoked, anything. So for me. This
I was a military guy, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know how I didn't chew in the Navy. I have no idea. I mean, I was every single day. Brandon can probably attest. Every single day, like 5 or 6 times, people are like, "You need to chew. You need to chew. You need to chew." Or you love it whenever it's like people are in the middle of something important, like you can't leave unless you need a smoke break. You like really think about going out and starting to smoke a cigarette because you're like, man, I could really use a break right now. But
yeah.
I just never have. So for me, something like this is not even a big deal. I'm like, I've never touched a cigarette or a cigar or anything in my entire life, so it's not a big deal. But for people like, on again, off again, or if you are a smoker, I could see it being a huge deal, maybe even more so than the people fighting for marijuana to be legal would probably be worse with cigarettes. Just because there's so many more people, I think, that smoke cigarettes than smoke marijuana. So
yeah, I think
it would be huge.
I think it would be huge. It would be crazy economic difference. I mean, imagine the revenue that like gas stations get from the sale of tobacco. It cuts out an entire industry. Like, and that would have huge effects, I think. Now, maybe that's not as big a deal in Hawaii since it's a lot smaller, and maybe gas stations just don't get their revenue that way. Maybe it's something that's plausible, but I just think it's an interesting story at the very least. But I also thought it was funny that they picked 100 years old. You have to wait until you're 100.
Yeah,
I can't imagine. I can't
think
imagine.
this bill might pass.
Pick
don't know,
a number
man, maybe.
between 1 and 100.
I mean, listen,
100.
if it's gonna pass anywhere, it's probably gonna be Hawaii.
Well, I'm just saying,
or
think about it.
California.
Everything is basically going to e-cigs and vapes anyway, right? So
Yeah.
they're excluding them. They're excluded out of this bill. So just to ban cigarettes, I think it might pass.
Even cigars are left out of the bill. I didn't read that. So
I don't
e-cigarettes
know.
and cigars are both left out.
Yeah, it's just pure cigarettes.
Still
that are-
get your nicotine.
All right, from Brandon, what do you have to say about this bill? Because I know you like to light the occasional cigarette.
Yeah,
Once
no, I
in
mean,
a while.
I was trying to go to Hawaii next, but I may have to change my orders. My cousin's actually out there, and he is a huge smoker, so I feel bad for him. His blood pressure is going to go crazy, but I don't know. I think it's going to be really hard to pass.
People stationed in Hawaii on base. Everything's always different on base. Like you'd probably, I doubt that it would be like an on base law as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
but with so many more ways to get nicotine, why not pass it? Just say
Because I just read another article that a Joel blew up in a guy's mouth and killed him.
Well, that's what you get for smoking one.
A cigarette's never. I'll tell you, a cigarette's never done that.
No, it just kills you slowly.
It just gives you cancer. I don't think that's the strong argument you think it is.
It is a valid argument, though.
Why not die when you're 55?
Yeah.
So with that, dying, we're gonna move on to mine. The title of this is "Why Don't You Die?" Australians fight with a spider sparks police call. So apparently in Australia, so as everybody knows, there's rather large everything in Australia, even spiders. There was a man who basically somebody walked by and heard him yelling repeatedly, "Why won't you die?" And a toddler screaming in the background. The neighbor called the police, and multiple units, not just one, multiple units responded with lights and sirens to this man screaming, "Why won't you die?" And apparently he was trying to kill a spider, and he has a crazy fear of spiders. I can relate to this. I hate anything small. I'm 6'2", like 275, and I would rather like fight a coyote than have to kill a mouse. Like
coyote, though, really, Brendan?
I mean, coyote. I was gonna say mountain lion, but I'm not taking no mountain lion.
I would rather fight a northern lynx.
Northern lynx. Hey, coyotes here get pretty big, so it'd be like the size of a cat, No, for real though, like I hate spiders. I hate anything creepy. Dude, I hate stink bugs. Like I swallowed a stink bug once. I think that's most of the reason why I hated it. But I hate all small things, so I definitely feel you, Australian gentlemen.
So how are you afraid of stink bugs? You already ate one. Like it can't really do much worse to you.
So
there should be no threat from a stink bug.
So let me. It's not that I'm afraid of them. I just can't stand them. So it was like 8:00 at night. The lights were off. I was watching TV. Went to take a drink of my iced tea. Took a drink. I was like, what was that? Looked down in. There was another one still in my cup just swimming around. So I drank a stink bug and there was still one in my cup. So now I have this hate and slight fear of stink bugs. Like I can't stand little creepy crawlies. There's that whole thing about spiders. The average person swallows like 57 spiders throughout their lifetime. Like, no thank you. I stay away from small things.
This guy does realize he lives in Australia, right?
Everything out there is trying to kill you. Guys, they have tornadoes made out of fire in Australia. Think about that. That's not a joke. It's a real thing. The air like that gets dusty and it just catches on fire in little tornadoes that swirl around causing havoc. It's a literal like hellscape. Oh,
So actually, one of my good friends I met actually while I was in Hawaii. He's in the Australia. Well, he was in the Australian Navy. He's out now. But the first couple of times we hung out, I was getting to know him, and I asked him. I was like, "Man, what do you guys do for fun in Australia?" He's like, "Oh, I've been bit by a brownie about 4 times." And I'm like, "What's a brownie?" He's like brown snake, and I'm like, "How?" He's like, "Oh, we just get bored, mate. We go out and look for them, and then we just hit him in the face with sticks." It's like the deadliest snake on earth, and they're just looking for him to hit with sticks.
Oh my
like,
gosh, I can't even.
Australia is the Florida of the world.
I hate snakes too. The Florida.
The floor.
Just some crazy stuff.
Antoine, Brandon's been hating on Florida the last couple episodes.
Florida brings it on themselves.
Florida's like the new Afghanistan.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, according to Brandon.
It's the Wild West down there.
All right, so we have a video to play for you guys before we move into Antoine's story, so everybody can check this out.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right. So, Antoine, your story, Mr. Patrick Mahomes.
Well, first of all, listen, we all know Patrick Mahomes, the MVP, had a tremendous season and all that great stuff in football. But as a ball player, listen, looking at this video, he is a little suspect on his dribbling. He needed to keep a little tight, especially with the in and out crossover. But when he gets in the paint here, this spin move is about as quick as, anybody. So, I mean, I really think that he deserves a lot of credit.
I'm actually playing it right now as you're talking because apparently it didn't go through the first time. So everybody's watching it right now. That's pretty crazy, though.
I mean, this spin move at the end is vicious. Like he did that pretty quick. I mean, this guy, obviously he played in school. He did he's a pretty good athlete overall, but I was just very impressed by the spin move at the end. And obviously he completed with the scoop layup.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I knew obviously that he played baseball, but I can say that I didn't know that he played basketball and had that type of talent. So that's I mean, you can obviously tell just in general when you watch him play that he's a talented individual. Like he's athletic.
Pat Mahomes, athlete. I'm telling you, that's got to be his.
That's going to be it's going to be the next ESPN sponsor.
So athlete. You play football? No, I'm an athlete. Actually, I can play just about anything. I couldn't imagine. That's just too talented. Kid's good.
Just being that talented is unreal. But I'm not surprised at all. I mean, he's so athletic, and then obviously, like Brendan said, he's a really good baseball prospect. His dad was in the majors for almost 10 years. So
yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about Mahomes, and I think that the Chiefs are going to be I thought the Chiefs were going to be picking up Antonio Brown, but I don't know after this whole domestic abuse thing that came out today. Did you guys see that?
It said a domestic incident and that he wasn't arrested, so I'm assuming it wasn't a physical altercation. Maybe they had a loud argument.
Maybe.
That would be. But I haven't read anything.
We'll see.
About it.
The NFL likes to penalize these high caliber players, even though they don't get arrested or there's no charges or anything. I mean, like Zeke and what's the defensive end's name that went to the Reds? Did he go to the Redskins? And he
Foster.
Yeah, but the NFL is saying they're still looking at possible suspension, even though the charges were dropped.
Yeah, I feel like that's more of that's going to fall in the same line with Zeke, though. It's just a pattern because this is like the third time, and I'm as Bama as they come. But Foster, man, this is like the third time he's been accused. So I think it's going to be more of a pattern of misconduct.
Well, my own personal opinion is, if you're not charged for something, I find it hard to suspend somebody. I would say maybe fining, like fine them for their improper conduct and make the fines go up. But like to suspend somebody from the season because, I don't know, just, I mean, stuff happens, man. We all make mistakes, but like, obviously there's not enough there for somebody to like get arrested or charges to be pressed.
Yeah,
Is it
so
bad
I think,
enough for
but
a suspension?
I think the thing is, it's not like the league is penalizing them for doing what it is they allegedly did, right? It's not that the league is punishing them because they allegedly hit somebody or did actually hit somebody. They're punishing them because that brought the league bad press. So while they're definitely off on their criminal charges, or they're not, either they're found guilty or not. But in like Zeke's case, he got out of his criminal charges, but the league is punishing him for a different crime, and that's for making the league look bad just by being involved in that. And whether or not it's his fault, that's
Okay,
just, I think, the risk.
So fine him and make the money that he pays, go towards him, the bad publicity or press that they can put into marketing or advertising to fix it. Instead, they suspend him, which, I mean,
yeah, but that kind of
viewership's going to go down. It's going to make the NFL look worse to a lot of people. Like, I don't think that they're necessarily making themselves look better.
But I don't think that didn't even hold true, though. Viewership didn't go down when they did suspend him.
For one, we don't know that. I mean,
viewership ratings are the highest they've been in years.
Well, he also wasn't suspended this year. I'm talking about
this year.
I'm talking about like in general, like where the how was the viewership for Dallas Cowboy fans or whatever, like
Well, it wasn't down. It actually would have went down if they would allow him to play. Because at the end of the day, people are saying, he did X, Y, and Z. And when you're talking about egregious, something egregious like, molesting a woman or hitting a woman or anything of that nature, people want to see what you're going to do as the boss.
So you're a Cowboys fan.
Did
you agree with it?
I'm the one that's saying this, because do I agree with the length of the suspension? The answer was no. But do I agree with him getting suspended? Yes, he was caught on camera several times. I mean, when they were on the boat, he pulling the girl shirt down. How you represent the league is very, very important. They have a brand to protect, so you're not, Jordan's right. It has nothing to do with the criminal charges. It's totally separate. You're disrespecting, you're embarrassing, you are causing the league to lose money at the end of the day because you're hurting the brand. Bottom line.
Let's be honest.
They let
league
Julian
can look bad on their own.
Yeah, and they let Julian Edelman be MVP of the Super Bowl, and he was suspended this season.
Yeah.
Well, fine, guys. You all can just fight me on it then. All right, so we'll move.
That's usually how this goes.
I know. I'm the odd one out all the time. So we're gonna move on to Super Bowl talk. I know that that's probably what everybody wants to hear us argue about, because that's probably what's going to happen.
13-3.
Yeah, 13-3. New England Patriots barely squeeze a win out of the Super Bowl against the Rams. So who enjoyed this game?
I did. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
You being serious?
I almost fell asleep.
I really did.
Multiple times.
I got here this Jordan. I got here this one.
I just thought it was a great football game.
You have the floor, sir.
Oh, good.
I love this every second of the Super Bowl.
I thought it was great. I loved. So my interest in the matchup was McVay Belichick. Like I wanted to see who outcoached whom, and I think Belichick outcoached the crap out of him. But I thought there were so many cool things happening on basically every down for both defenses that it was just incredible to see how the game plans just sort of matched out up until basically that fourth quarter where the Rams had just spent too much time on the field. And I thought it was just masterful defensive play and really interesting to watch on like a down by down basis to see what was happening and what was going on with like the Jared Goff's route trees throughout the game and how they started to get shorter and shorter because they were just absolutely savaging that pocket. Like, it was just cool. I thought it was such a good game. I don't care about scoring as much as everybody else. Like, to me, those games are boring. There's like no excitement in it for me because there's not much. Well, there is a lot of craft, but I like craft on the defensive side of the ball better than on the offensive side of the ball. So I just thought it was so good.
I agree with Jordan because I thought it was kind of nice that America got reminded of the age-old saying, defense wins championships. And my immediate thought went back to, I think, 2012 when Denver brought this high-flying offense in with Peyton, and nobody gave the Seahawks a chance. And the Seahawks defense just completely shut the offense down. But in this game, it was more of a defense versus defense game. And, yeah, I agree with everything Jordan said. I think Belichick, he just brought a great game plan. And you got to give it up to the Rams, too, because their defense was on the field for a long time.
Oh, my goodness gracious. And that, I mean, that is, the failing was something was up with that offense. The Rams offense was, and I mean, part of it was that the Patriots put so much pressure on Jared Goff. So much pressure on him. And, I've heard it throughout the season and people, pundits talk about it. And I heard Kirk Cousins give an interview or give like one of his pump up talks about when they played Jared Goff, that he's a rookie. And the deal with the rookie is to make them feel like they're in over their head. And that seems pretty intuitive. But when you've got a really good offensive line, those rookies can get into rhythm, but he just never got the chance to. And I think, Todd Gurley changes this game I don't think he's healthy. I think there's something more going on there. But I think if he were healthy, that this game changes and the scoring opens up a lot and the defenses have to open up a lot. But they were both fighting for yards just the whole game.
Yeah, I think if you would have told me before the game, okay, what needs to, like, if the Patriots win, what happens? Or if the Rams win, what happens? And my answer for if the Patriots win, and it was as close of a game as it was, I was going to say the young quarterback makes a crucial mistake under 5 minutes left in the game. And sure enough, it happened.
Yeah.
Here's something I just want to add real quick is the Super Bowl is the one game that the NFL really has to reach out and to pull in your casual football fans and have them become, I don't want to say, nowhere near a diehard football fan, but make them want to watch football more, get into it, or maybe enjoy it with their spouse more, or whatever the case may be. It's like the one big extravagant game that, like, people who don't usually watch football, they come to the parties and they watch football. And on Twitch, Jim Chetta said, as a casual football fan, it was very hard to watch.
Correct. So I don't disagree with that at all.
I think that has to go into, that kind of goes into my, like, if I looked at it just from 100% my perspective of, was it a high quality football game? The answer may go a little bit more towards yes than no, but looking at it from a football standpoint, from the Super Bowl standpoint, from a business standpoint, which for some reason my brain always does this, looks at the bigger picture, my perception is it was a boring game. It was a terrible game. The commercials did not make up for it this year. The halftime show was one of the worst I've ever seen in my life. So, like, in general, like, this was a very sad game. People watch the Super Bowl to watch very entertaining football. You know what I mean? In week 1, week 2, week 3, even week 14, 15, that was a solid game. You know what I mean? Defenses battling it out, offenses struggling because the defenses are playing so well. But in the Super Bowl, that was a terrible Super Bowl to watch.
So I think, most of them aren't like this. I mean, this is the second lowest, or the lowest scoring game of all time. And the last one was 50 years ago and it was even, in the 20s combined score. So, most of them are really exciting. Last year was really exciting, and was better as well, just in terms of the quality of the production and the halftime show and the commercials. And it was, so I think every now and again, it's good to have one for fans like me. I'm like the quiet guy. I'm a very quiet football fan. I really like to watch the game and see what's happening. Like the old, what was it, 2K, when 2K Sports had the football game, you could play it in like coach mode as opposed to playing as a player. You could play as a coach. That's what I used to do. That's how I like the game. So every now and again, one of those for this type of fan, I don't think is that terrible. I mean, the game itself was probably bad for business, but it was actually an excellent football game. And that's why the players play excellent football games like that too. So,
Well,
I don't know.
Well, my opinion on this is pretty. As far as the play, I thought it was cool to see a defensive game. I like watching defense and so forth like that. But I thought this game came down to McVay, and I thought he did a terrible job. I mean, absolutely horrible job on offense.
I think he did too.
If you look at I think he overthought this game. To say that he had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, I understand he's going against Belichick and all other stuff, but I really think he, just simply made this more complicated than it needed to be. He went away from what was working. They really didn't even move the ball until, the 11th minute mark in the fourth quarter. So I think while Bill Belichick deserves a lot of credit, for the way the defense, the way they were stunting, the way instead of going side to side like most people do, especially going against a zone offense, as far as zone scheme, as far as their blocking, they went vertical. They went straight up the field, which disrupted a lot of stuff. But I really thought that McVay did no disrespect to my man, and he's the genius and everything. But I thought he did a horrible job. Absolutely horrible job.
Yeah, I thought he did the one thing that really surprised me was you could just kind of tell from the first quarter he wasn't worried about trying to get Goff confidence at all. You have a quarterback starting in his first Super Bowl, 22, 23 years old. You want some short throws for him, especially they're bringing that much pressure, which I was really surprised with the Rams offensive line that's been one of the best in the league all year, and they were getting absolutely scorched.
Yeah, I mean that Patriots defensive line was playing obnoxious.
Yeah,
but like real quick though, how much? I'm actually. Let me pose this question to you guys though. How much of it was because their defensive line was simply coming off the ball every single play, every play they were coming off the field, versus the offensive line, which was just simply taking it because they were sitting in they were passing most of the game. They weren't trying to establish the run. So there was no, meet me in the trenches. It was like, okay, let me hold you while we do a bootleg for the third time in a row.
Well, one thing I noticed was, I think that from a viewer perspective, it seemed like their main goal was to shut Todd Gurley down early. And as soon as they did that, I feel like Belichick was smart enough to know that if they shut Gurley down early, they were going to abandon the run. Just looking at the last two games, at least they were going to abandon Gurley, which they did very early. I mean, he finished the game with 10 carries for 35 yards.
Yeah, because that's an attempt to give him the ball.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the beginning, they gave him the ball twice in the first two drives, and I think they were like negative. Well, I think they were both either no gain or negative carries, and then they gave C.J. Anderson 2 or 3. They gave him like the whole third drive. And he ended up with like 6 carries that drive for like 18 yards or something. And it's just, they ended up giving Gurley a couple more here and there. But yeah, I mean, but I don't think
Gurley's more injured than they let on.
I don't know. There were a couple where he broke like those 10, 11-yard gains where, I mean, he looked pretty explosive. He looked fine. But then
he looked fine.
They're just, I don't know. I mean, this is going on 3 games now. He played so well. Got that his knee started acting up, so I mean it probably is, But I think that was a part of the Patriots' game plan, was to make sure, hey, we shut this down early. They abandon it, and now it's like you said, now they can keep their defensive line fresh because they know they're passing, so they're keeping it fresh. And then I don't think Goff. I think Goff was on the ground more in the first half than he was. What they say, like the whole season,
the entire season.
Yeah.
Like that's especially as a young quarterback, that's hard.
Yeah,
That's hard to
in the
accept.
biggest game of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, they rattled the ever living crap out of him. Like
Yeah.
no doubt.
Yeah, but I mean, a quarterback best friend is the run game. You know, there's no way that, especially when your defense is doing a very good. Listen, defense played a great game. The Rams defense played an awesome game.
Yeah, they really did.
Even with the fact that Gurley and Anderson barely got the ball the first half, right? You're still in the ball game. It's 3-3. It's 3-3, and you stop running the ball.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the statistics, like if you look at the statistics during the game, Brady didn't play that much better than Goff. 262 yards and an interception. Goff had 229 and an interception. But look at the rushing. I mean, if you look at the way that the run game impacted the Patriots offense compared to the run game of the Rams, I mean, it's night and day. 32 rushes to 18 rushes, and more impactful rushes than the Rams. So of course that's going to open up the passing game. What bothered me was crazy is that whenever when the Patriots would literally run the same play 3 plays in a row, the exact same play, and they threw the ball the exact same person 3 times in a row.
Well, no, it was 3.
No,
I thought
he
it was
climbed
3
the
different
ladder.
receivers.
No, it was three different receivers. He climbed the ladder. He climbed the ladder.
It's crazy.
They were the same. They were the same 4 routes, but they were running them out of different sort of looks, different pre-snap looks. And then I think they motioned one of the routes on the second play. But Gronk was open on all 3. They just
down the seam.
And then Romo showed a whole bunch of times that Goff missed wide open progressions that Romo's like, how'd you miss that? Like,
yep.
How do you miss that?
I got it, guys. Nance Romo might be my favorite set of announcers. I love them. They're so good together.
Tony Romo cracks me up.
I definitely like Romo more as an announcer than I ever did as a quarterback. But then again, I'm not a Cowboys fan, so. But I appreciate him a lot in the announcer booth. Like
No. See, here's the deal. You appreciate him more as an announcer. He was a very good quarterback too. Just saying.
He was also a quarterback. You're right.
Wait, that's where I know that name from. He played for the Browns, right?
Antoine, wasn't he also he was a extra point field goal holder as well, right?
Wow. So you're gonna hold his first season, not even his full season. He took over that year. You're never gonna let that go, huh?
No.
Man, never.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
I do like Teddy Romo though.
So one thing I will say is the Patriots, whether Gronk is there next year or not, I looked very quickly, so I may be wrong. But it seems like most of the players they have are still under contract for next year.
Yeah.
I have a legit question.
Can I just add something real quick?
Did you guys just hear that giant crash by any chance?
I did.
My cat, that's my cat trying to get into the room where I record.
Oh my gosh.
He's savage.
I was wondering what that was. It sounded like ice falling off of a roof or something.
No, it's my freaking cat.
That's hilarious.
I should let him in, but then he's going to be loud.
No louder than the crash against the door.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, you guys make a valid point.
But anyway, just an update on Gronk today. I tuned into the parade like right when it started, and I watched Gronk before the parade started, chugged an entire bottle of champagne. So Gronk is still Gronk. But go ahead, Antoine.
I mean, Gronk showed that he was Gronk when they needed him. I mean, what was the drive on the end of the third quarter when he threw him 3 straight passes in a row? I mean, he's still Gronk. It's just, can he be Gronk all season? Like that's his
Dude,
biggest issue.
All right,
Gronk's got to retire, guys.
Yes, he's not
got to
gonna,
retire.
he's not going to retire. But here's my question. How much of the Patriots' success is because their division is that bad? You think about it. Everybody else is getting beat up, all season. Their divisional games really matter. All this other crap, right? So when they get in the playoffs, they're using that week to get healthy, whatever. I feel like the Patriots, that's why they always get so much better as the season progresses, especially towards the end. And then it's like, well, where did this defense come from? Why didn't they play like this all year? Their defense never looked better than the playoffs.
Yeah, I would say that it's no bigger difference than Belichick just being the greatest NFL coach ever. I mean, I do get what you're saying, though. That division is really weak.
That division is horrible. They've had the most coaching changes by far of any division. By far.
Yeah, but I mean, when they needed to step up and play, though, 3 weeks in a row, they did.
No, but that's my point. Is it because they're just, at some point, skill subsides, right? And you have to just say, all right, who's fresher? I would argue that their defense, who have not been very good all year, all of a sudden now they know how to stop the run. Now they're back in, all of a sudden they're older guys in the back end look like they're 20 years old again. I mean, like, how much of that is due to they literally may only play half the season because they don't have to play the full season.
I think that's part of it, but I mean, they still lost 5 games. I mean, they're still playing games and losing. So I don't know that it makes as big a difference, because we've seen dominant teams come out of weak conferences and then lose, but the Patriots do it and win.
Like who?
And I'm not saying like every season, but the year Denver went to the Super Bowl.
The year Denver went to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, the first year when they got beaten by Seattle.
With Peyton Manning?
Yes. Their division wasn't that great that year. But they looked good. But I mean,
I don't think the Chiefs, Chargers, or Raiders really had a solid squad that year.
No, I don't think, not that it doesn't make a difference, but I just think we've seen other teams sort of do the same thing but not be successful, but the Patriots just continue to be successful. Yeah, and I think that's got to be more than that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, Jordan, and anybody else. The year that Denver went to the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, they had a top 3 defense. That was a top 3 the whole year. Their defense kept them in the game, every single game. Like, this is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about an offense that was top 10. We're not talking about a defense that was top 10. We're talking about a mediocre Patriots team that simply win their division because everybody else sucks. And then now they're well rested while everybody else is hurting, in the playoffs. And here they come.
Playoffs?
Man, I don't know that they're getting beat up all that much less than all the other teams, because they're out there playing games too, and they're losing them.
They're not losing in division, though. Remember, you're playing 2 times in the division. They're not losing in division.
But you got to remember, too, they're the Patriots.
Hold on, they lost? They lost to the Dolphins, right? Yeah, I know they at least lost one to the Dolphins.
Yeah, they lost in the. Come on, that was in the beginning on a fluke. I mean, come on. But that's just showing you my point here. Like, their defense has been suspect the whole entire year. It was so suspect that I was wondering why, Flores, who's now the new head coach of the Dolphins, why he's even getting a shot here? And I'm like, what has he done this year?
Well, in the postseason, the Patriots have played 21 extra games since, I think, in the Belichick era. So they've played an entire extra season compared to all the other teams. So I think it probably levels out.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, you had a mediocre defense, but all that shows me is the Rams didn't have any major injuries, did they? The Chiefs didn't have any.
You mean besides Gurley?
Yeah,
But
really.
now let me
But
now
he
let's-
wasn't even on the injury report.
yeah, but let's look at their road though, Brandon. You're talking about they just coming off a hard fought game against a very good Saints team. That's number one. And then, but the week before that, they played against a Dallas Cowboy team, a top 5 defense. You're playing against. I mean, they earned their right to be there.
I mean, the Patriots played the Chargers
Patriots
and the
In
Chiefs.
Arrowhead.
too.
I mean,
In Arrowhead.
I mean,
10-degree weather.
Oh, here's what I'm saying though. But that's in a postseason. But even going back to the regular season, look how hard the Rams had to play every game. They had to play every game. You can't say that about the Patriots. You can't.
I mean, was it week 15? Week 14, they lost to the Dolphins. 15, they lost to the Steelers. Pulled it out, 1.5 scores against the Bills. Blew the Jets out of the water, and then played the Chargers and the Chiefs. So, I mean, they technically lost 2 out of their last 4 postseason games.
And they beat the Chargers twice this year, right? And that was Kansas City's biggest, they won 12 games this year. And 2 of their losses was to New England.
I mean, I kind of get what you're saying, Antoine. I think that in the NFL, it's hard to win as many games as they did if you're like kind of lackadaisically playing football. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't think it's like in college where you're coming off like Alabama. You're coming off an LSU game in Death Valley, and then you follow it up with Citadel, and you rest players. You don't rest players in the NFL unless you lock up a bye, which New England didn't. So they had to play. So, I mean, I do get what you're saying. Their road may have been a little less tough, but I don't think it played as big a factor as Belichick and the Patriots coaching staff just simply out-coaching the Rams.
So do you think that if you put...
And their ability to change their identities, identity as a team during the season is better than any other team.
Yeah, and that was Sony.
Is.
That was Sony.
Yeah, that was Sony. That was a lot of Sony.
Yeah.
Do you think that if you put them in the AFC West, do you think they're not even? Do you think they're even division champs?
I don't know about division.
It depends on who you switch them out for. They're not either way. They're not division champs with the Chiefs and the Chargers in there. But
I don't know. I think that with the Chargers they would be.
Take the Raiders out.
No. I mean, there's either way they're not division champs with the Chiefs in there. That's the Chiefs. I think that them beating the Chiefs twice is honestly a fluke. I don't know. The Chiefs are. I thought the Chiefs were a
Bill
much
Belichick's a better
football
coach
team.
than Andy Reid.
Yeah, and
Hands
here's
down.
here's my thing as well. I mean, even if they're not division champs, if they make it into the playoffs, even if they make it in on the last seed, I'm still taking Belichick and Brady in December and January.
Absolutely. I absolutely am.
I think it changes. I think it changes everything. I think it's because of the foundation I'm standing on here. I'm standing on the foundation that they don't have to play a whole season to get to the playoffs. If they're forced to play a whole season, I think you see, the Belichick is going to be great and all other good stuff, but I just don't see them taking people by surprise when they play so well, because I just don't think they're going to be that fresh. I just don't. I just don't think it's that easy of a road.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can kind of understand. I kind of see what you're saying. I just think it's hard in the NFL when you're at that level of football to really like quote take a week off or not play your hardest and get these victories. I think it's very hard to do. But I do want to say Sony Michel looked fantastic as always. Julian Edelman was a freaking uncoverable animal in this Super Bowl game. Brandon Cooks played well more towards the second half of the game. But that New England backfield, like I said, I believe they're all on contract for next year. If Burkhead can stay healthy, I mean, honestly, Burkhead's he's not fantastic, but he plays very well. And he's a great alternate back to Sony Michel. Kind of bigger, bulkier on the, within the 5-yard line, kind of just like running through people. And James White's obviously catching balls out of the backfield. I mean,
James White's
squad.
like a little like a mini, or not even mini, but like a separate version of Tariq Cohen in that offense. They've got That backfield is good. That backfield is good. I don't like to touch it in fantasy because you don't know which one is going to go off.
I mean,
for 45
I'm still
points,
drafting Sony
but-
Michelle. I mean,
Oh
by
yeah,
far.
yeah. I mean, I'm not taking him in the first round though.
No,
And
I'm not taking the first round.
here's the thing that blows my mind about New England, and it always does every year. You put almost any of those backs on a team, except Michelle, on a team other than New England, and they fade away. But New England is just so good at maximizing players' abilities that they turn them into Pro Bowlers.
Well, Bill Belichick even said that he would rather sign undrafted players or draft people later in a draft because they play harder. They play with that extra hump on their back. Like he said that during one of the press conferences during the pre Super Bowl. He likes those people.
Also,
he goes after them.
Speaking of sort of the draft, also, I'm pretty sure they have 7 picks in the first 3 rounds. They have like 7 picks in the top 100 in this draft.
If that's true, that's crazy.
I'd have to check that, but it's a lot. They're just going to reload.
Yeah.
They don't have to
they'll go sign
rebuild,
somebody
they just
for-
reload.
It's yeah.
So what NBA talk do we got other than Anthony Davis and the whole Lakers fiasco?
Well, I mean, that's the biggest one. Anthony Davis, where is he going to go? Is he going to get traded? Is he not? There's a couple sides to it. This is my take. If I'm the Pelicans and I'm their front office, I'm saying, if I'm Dell Demps, I'm like, hey, listen, we trying to stretch this thing out as long as possible and get to the offseason. Because if we get to the offseason, now we can get his true value from the Celtics. Right now, because of the clause that's with Kyrie Irving, he cannot. It's almost impossible for him to get traded to the Celtics. But they have the most. They have the draft picks. They have obviously the young players, to give them the proper leverage. I mean, proper trade. So if I'm trying my best to get to the offseason, if I'm them, the Lakers simply isn't going to happen. They don't have enough. They don't have enough.
It's June 1st, isn't it, Antoine? Before Boston can actually, attempt to get AD.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with you. Even though the Lakers, they're pretty much throwing the keys to the city at them.
And what this latest one was Hart, is it Zubac or Zubac? I can never remember. Ingram, Kuzma, Ball, 2 first-round picks, and basically what they're paying the salary cap for Hill.
I think it's like $12 million they would absorb.
And they're still saying no. Like the Lakers the last thing I just read like 4 hours ago, the Lakers seem to have just said like we're done. It's just unreasonable.
I saw this meme with Magic Johnson that was like, I'll give you Ball, Ingram, Kuzma, 2 firsts, and the cure.
I saw the one that it was LeBron saying, it said at the top, how many people you trade for AD, and it was him saying not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. It was pretty good. But yeah, I mean that whole I was watching I don't remember what show I was watching this morning, but they're saying that like the ownership group and stuff, it's a bad it would be a bad standard to set if a trade goes through with him having a year and a half left on his contract, for him to be able to kind of disregard that. You
know how much money he's gonna lose? He's gonna lose. Seriously, he's gonna lose about $100 million. Anthony Davis, but he already said he doesn't care about the money. But when it's all said and done, he's gonna lose about $100 million.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of.
New Orleans was prepared to give him what, like $250 million. Or
just something like that.
Something absurd.
He would have gotten a little north with the Pelicans, a little north of $300 million.
Yeah, that's absurd. But my big knock on Anthony Davis is
go outside, pick up a basketball, and start watching some YouTube videos and learn how to shoot. Learn how to play defense.
Have a unibrow.
And then pick up a baseball, learn how to throw it. Deflate that football like the Patriots. Just throw it in the garage and just let it go. Pick up a baseball bat, pick up a basketball, and just go that route.
Antoine, I want to get your take on this though, real quick. I mean, I watch a decent amount of basketball, more college than NBA, but I follow the NBA. So my big knock on AD is always availability. It seems like every time I'm turning on TV, he's out for 2 to 3 weeks. So that would scare me, giving up 2 first-round picks, 3 players that I'm building, the foundation around.
This guy's talent is just there's nothing like it. I was arguing actually on this podcast. I was arguing that he should have been the MVP. This dude was averaging almost 37 points a game during a stretch. He was averaging almost 37 points a game, 17 to 20 rebounds, and 8 to 9 blocks.
Yeah, I think that was actually against my Trailblazers in the playoffs, if I remember correctly.
So, I mean, like, the way this guy plays the game, I mean, he goes inside, outside. And what I really like about him, because it's a lost art, is his ability to play defense. Like, his ability to guard the pick and roll is just something that, I mean, you can't argue. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know what you say to that. Like, that value is just unbelievable. Being able to guard. Can you imagine how much easier it would be if everybody had an Anthony Davis, and like when you're playing against a James Harden or Chris Paul, even Michelle or anybody like that. All they do is keep you in a pick and roll the entire game and say, what you gonna do? You can't really do that with Anthony Davis.
Yeah. No, I agree. I just didn't know how much the injury concerns would be.
I think for me though, in all seriousness, I think after Boogie went down and he literally carried the team. You couldn't get another starter on their team before they traded Boogie.
I'm actually pretty sure on one of our episodes you asked us to do that.
Yeah,
and we couldn't.
You couldn't do it.
I'm pretty sure we ran that bit before and we couldn't do it.
Yeah, Drew Holiday, Equal Moore.
The fact that is so difficult to do that, and they're winning because he's just putting up a ridiculous average in all categories is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So here's the newest. This update just came out. What would it be, like a couple hours ago? Los Angeles Lakers president of basketball operations, Magic Johnson, wants the New Orleans Pelicans to start offering counter proposals to offers on All-Star Anthony Davis, threatening to end talks unless the Pelicans show a willingness to engage in a back and forth on reaching a deal.
They're not going to end talks because Magic Johnson's job was laying on this trade. Gosh.
You know that scene from Tombstone? Have you guys seen the movie Tombstone?
A long time ago.
Yeah. So I just picture the Pelicans saying, well, bye. Don't counter offer because then you set a floor.
Correct.
Just say keep it coming.
And yeah, I mean, they have so many offers probably coming in that a counter offer would be kind of stupid. So to get into some college football here, Brandon, we'll let you take it away.
I mean, nothing really. I know we had a couple people last week kind of message me and ask about, if we follow college recruiting. So National Signing Day, late signing period is tomorrow. So I'll have more for next week for you guys listening that want to hear about it. There's really not too much to cover until everything's said and done. I actually saw a crazy, with the early signing day period a couple of months ago, that over 85% of the ESPN top 300 signed early. then of course we can cover the transfer portal issues with the early signing period, like players committing to schools and then the head coaches up and leaving. I think there's some issues with that, but everything's pretty normal in the recruiting world. I think right now class rankings: Alabama's 1, Georgia's 2, Texas A&M's 3. I think Clemson's 4. Really, the only thing, especially with the transfer portal, is I don't know if you guys saw this, but Penn State actually has 12 players in the transfer portal.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, enough to field one side of the ball, which I think is absurd.
But they have a lot of weird depth at positions where kids probably aren't going to play. Like, I get it. It sucks, but I get it.
Yeah, I have my own opinion on, obviously I'm fine with players that graduate and want to leave. I don't
like this whatever thing, the
No.
exigent circumstances or whatever they're calling it, that's letting kids play in their transfer year. I don't like that.
No, I don't either, because what you're starting to see now is you're having kids that were top 5 overall in the country come to a school their freshman year, they don't play, so they quit and they leave.
Yeah.
Tate Martell.
No. Yeah, or Justin Fields. Or,
Martell.
I just think it's absurd. Like even Alabama today had, I think last year we signed this defensive end, Ayabi Anoma out of Maryland. He was the number 3 overall player. He came this year, made SEC all freshman team. He played in all 12 games. Obviously, he wasn't a significant player, but I just saw he's putting his name in the portal now. And it's like, well, bye. Like if you're not going to sit and be all in, then it's almost better. Maybe you should leave. But, everybody has their reasoning. I won't get into that. I'm not going to sit here and, talk smack about high school seniors and college freshmen wanting to leave and stuff. That's obviously their decision. But, yeah, I just think that Yep. Ooh. The AAF kickoff this Saturday.
Yeah. I'm excited for more football, guys.
Yeah. Season's just starting, boys.
Who's in on the fantasy league? Let's play AAF fantasy.
I'm a little bit more
seriously. Let's play AAF fantasy.
I'm invested a little bit because John Kittner just came from the AAF, so I want to see what in the world this is about.
Guys, I'm googling if we can play AAF fantasy. I think you can on Yahoo. Guys.
Yeah. Yeah,
guys.
And they have some really good coaches too, like Mike Vick's an offensive coordinator. I think Hines Ward's an offensive coordinator. Paul Amalu, I think, is a defensive coordinator.
Guys.
So some really good football players associated with it.
We need to play fantasy and then talk about it as a segment on the show and lock down the AAF fantasy sports podcast market now.
Can we do it?
Do it. I'll send out. I will create the league tonight. We'll draft sometime this week.
I didn't know the players, bro.
What? Nobody does. QB1. I'll take him QB1.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Nope. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hope you all enjoyed it, and we will be back next week.